Greetings, 11's, whereby I'm Parax11, review of the good, the bad, and the underrated. And happy Halloween, viewers. I figured there's no better time to count down my top 10 favourite cartoon villains.
The villains in, well, anything, are usually one of the more interesting characters, be they funny, cunning, scary, or all of the above. A cartoon with a strong hero often feels incomplete without a good threat to drive him on. Now, I've already counted down my favourite cartoon heroes, and I'll admit that many of my choices on this list come from the same shows as those on the Heroes Countdown, but in my opinion, one of the things that makes a great hero or villain is their rivalry and how they play off each other.
Oh, and minor spoilers for these shows, but I'll definitely put in a skip for more major ones. Also, I tried to keep this to one per franchise, but 2 characters from the DC animated universe managed to make their way through. I can't help it if it's so damn good. But other than that, the only ground rules are that they have to be a character that originated in animation, or at least a version of that. So, with all that out of the way, cue the obvious countdown music.
And it's so easy when you're evil. This is the life you see, the devil tips his hat to me. I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 10. Aku from Samurai Jack. This is probably the simplest villain on the list, but also one of the funniest. This guy, spirit, shapeshifter, wizard thing is just evil for the sake of being evil and has so much fun doing it. A perfect opposite to the pure good hero of Jack. His powers are also really cool with the ability to shapeshift, produce fire, grow, and transport beings through time. Which he could probably do to Jack again when he fights him, but then again the series would be too long if that happened. Plus, Aku is a miracle in that he can be both really funny and yet also really malicious. He doesn't come off as totally confused. He can burn down entire villages and try to emotionally scar Jack by posing as a companion, and yet raise the children and orders pizza, and pulls off both.
Extra thick! 30 minutes, oh, it's free. Excellent!
However, this character would be nothing without the voice actor, as Mego delivers a deliciously hammy performance. You could tell that he had a ball saying every solitary syllable of Aku's dialogue.
The wolf attacked Little Red Hood, not knowing that Little Red Hood had laser eye beams. Great combat skill! And the powerful uppercut that freed Little Red's grandmother from the evil bowels of the wolf.
Needless to say, I really miss him, and I hope they get a decent replacement for him in the new series coming up. Master of Darkness, Master of Laughs, and with eyebrows so fabulous they rival Peter Capaldi's, Aku loves being evil, and I love watching him be evil.
Who dares to summon the Master of Masters, the Deliverer of Darkness, the Shogun of Sorrow, Aku!
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 9. Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Though cancelled way too early and replaced with utter garbage that shan't be named, it still managed to do many of the Marvel Universe's greatest heroes and villains justice. Pun intended. And though Loki almost made the cut,
Bloody fangirls!
I had to give the spot to the machine who sees destroying the Earth as the perfect route to world peace. Ultron. As much as I find Hank Pym in this show and the comics almost intolerable, I can at least sympathise with his conflict that he created a robot that, well, almost nuked everything. And as far as scrubs go, that's pretty bloody bad. But Ultron on his own is pretty imposing too, able to match basically every Avenger in combat and even killed Thor. For one episode, his superhero stated its best as well as Lord of the Rings protagonists. Look at you, Aragorn. Plus, when he got his adamantium body, he was nigh unstoppable.
It is unbreakable, even by your hammer.
With only his own creation, the Vision, who is a good contender for my favourite Avenger after Captain America, being able to stop him. He was also voiced by a really good voice actor, with veteran VA Tom Kane playing the character as a cold, logic-driven monster.
My imperative is to bring peace and order to this world. I am about to fulfill that imperative. for the extinction of humanity begins now.
Though James Spader gave an excellent as well as entertaining performance in the Age of Ultron movie, I consider the animated version to be a great adaptation of the comic version, a calculated and emotionless machine who will settle for nothing but mankind's total annihilation.
Enable shutdown sequence, code word synthezoid.
Shutdown code exit. Shutdown code rejected. My programming has advanced beyond your commands, beyond your weakness.
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 8. I had to include at least one anime villain on the list, and even though Fairy Tail is one of my favourite anime, even though I have watched quite a few since the last list, its villains are one of the areas where it tends to fall flat, with them either being kind of generic or just straight up bland and boring. While Zeref was a good sympathetic villain who eventually went full evil, I'm gonna go with the childhood sweetheart from hell, as well as the most fleshed out antagonist, Jalal. One of quite a few sympathetic / redeemed baddies, Jalal wasn't the first good fairy tale villain, that was Leon, despite his shaky motivation for being the brother from hell, but Jalal was the first big bad I was truly intimidated by. I was kinda scared of Gajiel, but he was just Jose's underling. His manipulation of his own friends, along with our heroes and the Magic Council, the Wizard World's equivalent of a government, I guess is a textbook representation of a master manipulator. Heck, he even plays around with pieces on a chessboard shaped like both sides.
Lord knows why, but it's awesome. Who cares?
Now, of course, he eventually gets redeemed thanks to his old friend Urza, aka the definition of badass, and he even forms his own miniature guild with 2 other former bad guys to recompense for his sins. This was a really cool development, allowing not only for his character to grow, but in a way that he became a teacher who still learns, similar to Twilight Sparkle. However, there are some elements to Jalal's character that I don't like. Now, he originally became evil as a child by being manipulated by a being he thought was the ghost of Zera, and so built the Tower of Heaven by manipulating his friends to resurrect him. At the end of the Tower of Heaven arc, he redeemed himself by saving Urza and was seemingly killed, but in a later arc was revealed to have amnesia. His character was still utilised in that, but it seemed unnecessary. He'd already shown he was free from the Force possessing him by saving Urza's life, so why did he need the amnesia? It would be like Darth Vader after saving Luke, going, "Hey son, aren't you supposed to be not born yet? By the way, do you like sand? Because I don't like sand. It's rough, coarse, irritating. Plus his magic powers seem to be really inconsistent. He has heavenly body magic, fire magic, self-destruct magic, stick magic, baking magic, art magic, contraceptive magic."
It's like the wizard equivalent of Ditto, just having whatever power the writers want him to have.
However, neither of those hurt the character a lot, just make it so he's isn't higher on the list. Jalal. You thought your childhood crushes turned out bad? You have nothing on Urza.
What a perfectly foolish thing to do! He tried to play the valiant hero, but his death won't change a thing!
Spoilers.
Gave his own life to save yours, but he should have known I'm not letting either of you leave this tower alive!
Natsu.
Shut up!
Thank you!
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 7. As I said in the Heroes Countdown, Star Wars The Clone Wars was my favourite TV show as a kid, and at first I was thinking of including General Grievous on the list. He certainly had his badass moments in the show, while showing some strategic prowess on a few occasions, with some good kills to boot, and was an unstoppable beast in the original Clone Wars show, killing a Jedi Knight and later battling 6 others, killing 3 and seriously injuring the others in his very first appearance. However, I just can't get over how lame he was in the Revenge of the Sith movie, just skulking around and coughing a lot, with his climactic fight with Obi-Wan having less than a minute of actual lightsaber conflict. Plus, on rewatching the 2008 series, I do agree with the common complaint of Grievous being incredibly underpowered, especially in the first season. I also like what they did with Darth Maul, bringing him back with a really manipulative personality that I wasn't expecting but was really pleased with. I also considered Hondo, but
You know what I always say?
Speak softly and drive a big tank.
He's just too damn likeable. I can't put him on this list, especially since he doesn't do anything all that villainous.
You pay for your insolence. Insolence? We are pirates. We don't even know what that means.
And yes, I was very happy to see him back in Star Wars Rebels. But I also noticed that the list was generally filled to the brim with a bunch of masterminds and overlords, with no henchmen getting any love. So I decided to give the spot to my favourite bounty hunter in the Star Wars canon, Cad Bane. Now don't get me wrong, I love Boba Fett as much as the next guy. He was a stone cold badass in episode 5, dealing a heavy blow to our heroes by taking away Solo, and having to be told not to disintegrate them. But in episode 6, he turned up in the first 20 minutes a couple of times before getting killed accidentally by a bloody blind man.
You fail.
Bane is basically a space cowboy. Though, let's face it, what other job than bounty hunter you're going to get with the name Cad Bane? Can't really imagine him taking up a desk job. He's just such a cool character. He's like a member of Blue Man Group, decided to become a cowboy, and then got possessed by the devil. He only aligns himself with those who pay his
astronomical fees. I'll just slap myself. Ow.
And those people paying 9 times out of 10 are the bad guys. Though many of the side villains in Clone Wars were overly arrogant, cowardly generals or businessmen, slug things, with no fighting ability and quickly surrender once their plans are foiled, Bane was a breath of fresh air. Not only was he manipulative, not serious levels, but still pretty clever. He was able to talk the talk and shoot the shoot, being able to take on powerful Jedi, even more than one at the same time. His skills were so great that he was chosen for a mission to assassinate the Supreme Chancellor. Oh, I'm sure Dooku just made a little slip up and forgot that's his master he's trying to kill. Now his death in episode 3 makes a lot more sense.
You're from the prince who tries to go behind your back and tries to kill you. That's just rude.
I just wish that before the show was canned, we'd either get a team up or fight between Fett and Bane. It was surprisingly imposing for someone who's too young to grow facial hair. Nevertheless, the greedy and resourceful bounty hunter fully deserves the title of the Blue Meanie.
Morning, senators. You should all consider yourselves to be in my power. As long as everybody behaves, this will be quick and painless.
I don't know who you think you are, but I, for one, have no intention of listening to this kind of insolence.
Damn! I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 6. Muscle Bunny's had some surprisingly well thought out antagonists in its run. There have been great villains like Starlight Glimmer, until a certain twist, Queen Chrysalis and the Sirens, but it's also had its fair share of bad or generic villains like King Sombra, Nightmare Moon, Sunset Shimmer and the First Equestria Girls, those weird hentai tentacles, that principal from Friendship Games.
Oh, the principal from Friendship Games. But for the spot, I managed to narrow it down to the two villains that I like the most from the show, Discord and T-Rek.
When it comes to MLP's villains, I feel like these two are the best for their personality, powers, and how close they came to beating the main 6. Let's start by looking at the Master of Chaos and Pendleton personal fantasy, since he's part of the reason I became a brony, as well as an inspiration for quite a few parts of my on-screen persona. Before watching his debut episode, The Return of Harmony, I'd only watched 1 or 2 episodes of the show, and liked it a lot, but after seeing this awesome episode with this awesome beast, I became a brony in less than 10 seconds flat, but I'm sure 1 or 2 more Fluttershy episodes would have done it just a little slower. It's like a coup in that he's the perfect mix of funny yet intimidating, and his magic laugh was an excellent gags, but also some great character expansion for our heroines, with each time he corrupted them either being hilarious or heartbreaking. John Delancey also gives an excellent performance, enjoying every second of playing Discord, plus his design is incredibly cool. I don't know what Lauren Faust was smoking when she put the design together, but please get me some.
This doesn't make sense.
Makes sense? Oh, what fun is there in making sense? Did you miss me, Celestia? I missed you.
It's quite lovely being encased in stone, but you wouldn't know that, would you? Because I don't turn ponies into stone.
He also managed to not only turn Ponyville into the chaos capital of the world, but make Twilight give up in one of the saddest moments of the show, in effect winning. Before, of course, tasting the rainbow due to his arrogance, but hey, he was basically a god at that point, so it must have gone to his head. And of course, being a show about friendship, a lot of the villains get redeemed, and rather than forcing it with magic like with Nightmare Moon or Sunset Shimmer, or utterly half-arsing it in 5 minutes like what they did with Starlight Glimmer, I considered for this list for dooming Equestria a grand total of 7 times over, but... You seriously couldn't write to your friend in magic school?
That's what drove you to brainwashing ponies when you were a grown man? Illiteracy?
Stupid! You're so stupid!
With Discord's reformation, it actually took time for Fluttershy to win him over, by showing him kindness, with the other ponies not buying it at first and his mischievous nature remaining intact afterwards, as well as a face heel turn in Twilight's Kingdom, making his heel face turn at the end more believable. And said villainous relapse ties into the other holder of the spot, T-Rex. After the bland King Somber, generic and stupid Sunset Shimmer and the slow non-threat of the Vines, it was so refreshing to see yet another confident mastermind brimming with personality. But unlike Chrysalis, who bragged as she was about to get blown away or Sunset where all she had was an army of teenagers to invade a country with 3 other princesses, several magical weapons of mass destruction, a chaos spirit, a tumble pony, and quite a few more, T-Rex bragged to the princess while they were utterly powerless. So instead of coming off as stupid, he seems completely sadistic, twisting in the knife further when he's basically taken over the whole land. That's another reason I find T-Rex to be a great villain. He sucked the magic out of basically every pony in Equestria, out-manipulated the monster manipulator, and brought Equestria to its knees. A feat no other villain has done before, or since. Before Magical Rainbow Friendship Power number 5 put him back in Tartarus, but that's a little more forgivable due to his completely awesome anime-style brawl with Twilight. Haters, try and call this show lame when it has a huge smackdown between a giant centaur and a magical flying unicorn with the magical power of 3 other magical flying unicorns. Both of these villains are powerful, manipulative, sadistic, and have a surprisingly good sense of humour. Discord and T-Rex, the ultimate in both chaotic good, eventually, and chaotic evil.
You should see the looks on your faces. Priceless. How does it feel, knowing that soon every Pegasus, unicorn, and earth pony will bow to my will, and that there is nothing you can do to stop it?
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 5. Sweet mother of Tim, it was hard to just pick 2 villains from the DCAU, and both of this managed to be from the same show. So let's get into one of my favourite adaptations of my favourite comic book supervillain, the Joker. Don't get me wrong, I love Heath Ledger, maybe even as much as this version, but Mark Hamill has the advantage of having several TV shows, movies, and video games to flesh out his version of the character. Plus, when it comes to laugh, Hamill wins by a mile, using it to reflect the Joker's mood, be it gleeful, diabolical, or just flat out insane. There is of course the excellent juxtaposition of Batman, the Dark Avenger of the Night, wishing justice and order, while the Joker is colourful and chaos-loving, getting joy out of other people's pain and misery. Seeing how little human life means to him, even his own girlfriend, the cutest, bubbliest person ever, is pretty shocking. And he's also like a cockroach in that he just can't die!
Hello, Gotham. Joker's back in town.
Jay, exactly what chemicals did you bathe in to bleach your skin? Did you just bathe in a Lazarus pit for too long that one time Ray showed you a favour?
However, the main reason this is my favourite Joker is because you see the progression of his insanity over time. In the animated series, his crimes, though occasionally citywide, usually just focused on 1 or 2 people specifically, a small group at most. But over the course of the Mask of the Phantasm film, the new Batman Adventures, the Justice League cartoon, and his final chronological appearance in the Batman Beyond movie, his crimes grow larger in scale, and his sense of humour darker and darker and darker and darker, while putting more and more pressure on Batman's conflict of whether or not to kill his oldest and deadliest foe.
I know everything. And kinda like the kid who peeks at his Christmas presents, I must admit, it's sadly anticlimactic. Behind all the sturm and batarangs, you're just a little boy in a playsuit crying for mommy and daddy. It'd be funny if it weren't so pathetic. No, what the heck, I'll laugh anyway.
On to the next pick.
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 4.
I won't fight you.
You will learn respect, and suffering will be your teacher.
Oh, come on, I just got over the Joker. I have to go over another creepy Hamill performance? Oh, with his daughter, I swear to God, I can't. Sorry, I just needed time for the sedatives to work their magic. The magic of the fairies dancing there.
Yeah, as far as building up a powerful villain, I'd go with the Fire Lord as an example of how to do it right. The first 2 seasons never even showed his face, building us up as the most evil person in the world, some kind of monster. So ruthlessly burned half his son's face off for speaking out against a general's plan that would have cost many soldiers' lives. And in the third, it's shown he is a total monster, and his plans to secure control of the world by burning half of it to the ground. Jesus! I mean, it's a pretty generic plan to rule the world, but still, this guy was going to do that by killing millions of people.
His plan is just pure evil.
No argument here.
The product of 100 years of basically fascism, and as I mentioned, a bloody creepy Hamill performance, along with the power of Sosa's comic giving him enough power to go up against the Avatar. The tension in the scene was enough to make me want to break, with Aang not wishing to kill the Fire Lord, but him wanting nothing more.
We don't have to fight. You have the power to end it here and stop what you're doing.
You are right. I do have the power. I have all the power in the world!
Problem with other build-up villains like Sombra and heck, even Sauron is that they're built up as this all-powerful threat in flashbacks, but they never get to show off said power in the present before they defeat. Ozar's ruthlessness you see in almost every episode with the Sud Coast Scar. There were 2 episodes dedicated to his battle with Aang, where his firebending was nigh unstoppable. However, while Ozai is the most threatening bad guy in Avatar, the most detestable is his daughter, Azula. Though may try to be the alpha and often fall flat, when you have fire powers, the evilest man in the world is your dad, showing you were always a monster even as a child, deceive your brother to imprison him, in your first major appearance, and following the protagonist as well as coming close to killing Aang, which was damn scary, you can do nothing but succeed in garnering my full hatred. And that was just her first season. Next season she treated her only friends like trash, got angry when they got tired of it, was totally insane, came close to killing her brother. Good God, this woman is terrifying. Even when she's funny, she's terrifying.
That's a sharp outfit, Chan. Careful. You could puncture the hull of an Empire-class Fire Nation battleship, leaving thousands to drown at sea. Because it's so sharp.
Even her defeat, which you can skip to here if you want to avoid spoilers. Just look! I should be happy to see such a hateable character in tears, but she's just so damn creepy.
Again, as with Aang, I'll talk a bit about Korra's villains, even though I found all of them pretty underwhelming. They were each meant to give some great political commentary and were the focus of the season, meaning Korra was often underdeveloped, and they got just one 13-episode season to get built up, then knocked down. Plus, of course, the problem with politically motivated films is that in their defeat, their ideology will be shown to be bullcrap and thrown down the toilet. So much time was spent on their ideology, they didn't have any character at all. Ozai had 2 20-episode seasons to build him up, 17 of the last one, as well as 4 dedicated to showcasing the full extent of his megalomania, as well as knocking him down. Oh, and 2 20-episode seasons for Azula. I also wanted to give quick honorable mentions to both Zuko and Iroh, though they're both kind of villains by circumstance, especially Iroh. He's too lovable to be a villain. Zuko gets his ass handed to him constantly in the first season, but he developed from a sympathetic but kind of unthreatening villain to a conflicted anti-hero, and the noble prince he was born to be. Both Ozai and Azula were so menacing, proving you don't need complex motivations to be a great villain, just being as ruthless as possible. Or just...
You've beaten me at my own game.
Don't flatter yourself. You were never even a player.
Hate. Ah!
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 3. Mr. Freeze, from the DC Animated Universe. My favourite villain from the DCAU is pretty much everyone else's favourite as well. I have to admit, I don't know how Paul Dini managed it. Making a guy with just a cool gun?
Side note, since this piece of has made Mr. Freeze and puns quite a fragile subject, any puns from now on are completely unintentional. I hope you guys recognise how hard this is for me.
To a Shakespearean tragedy. Heck, some of his lines almost sound Shakespearean.
This is how I'll always remember you. Surrounded by winter, forever young, forever beautiful. Rest well, my love.
But yeah, this guy's like someone born on Friday the 13th who broke a mirror while walking under a ladder. All this guy wants is to save his dying wife, and yet he gets punished for it. Unlike other comic book villains who are motivated by anger, greed, or just pure insanity, it's love that makes him do what he does, which is why some of his portrayals in newer comics have left me disappointed. No insult to Scott Snyder, I love all his work on Batman, minus First Snow. But yeah, be it evil businessman, evil Walt Disney, military submarine, lazy future scientist, and even Norris Cure, Freeze can never get with her. There is always someone in the episode more evil than Freeze, but appearing innocent to contrast the well-intentioned Freeze, who everyone considers a monster, but he eventually gets a beautiful send-off in the movie Sub-Zero. Then they screwed up his character by making him an angsty robot, the reason he's only number 3, but refixed him in Batman Beyond, with him being an immortal wishing nothing but death for himself. Freeze gets yet another chance of redemption with a new body because future science, yet some a-hole scientist trying to pull the plug, sending him back into madness. He even gets a pretty decent death, managing to save the new Batman while also summing up his miserable existence in one sentence.
The whole place is gonna go.
Believe me, you're the only one who cares.
Freeze, no!
The ultimate sympathetic villain, Mr. Freeze. Can't you just give him a pass for theft and murder? It's for his wife.
I can only beg your forgiveness and pray you'll hear me somehow. Someplace where a warm hand waits for mine.
I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 2. My god, it was difficult choosing my favourite Disney villain. There are just so many good ones. Dr. Facilier, the evil stepmother, Shere Khan, Jafar, Scar, who probably affected me most thanks to...
Long live the king.
But in the end, it came to the most threatening and creepiest baddies, Maleficent and Frollo. Yes, Maleficent is actually not that bad, just misunderstood, and falling in love with a person. She goes, no, screw that film, screw it. No, Maleficent is an easily angered, plotting, and all-powerful mistress of evil. Even if you do something as little as not invite her to a party, she'll curse your child to die. die, but give you just enough time to bond with her if you don't send her away before she dies.
Before the sun sets on her 16th birthday, she shall prick her finger on the spindle of a spinning wheel and die.
And even if you resist, she'll use all the powers of hell to kill you. She's possibly bipolar, being half the time cunning and quiet and the other half loud and beam shooting, but both those moods work, as she was part of possibly the best Disney climax ever, turning into a dragon to fight the heroic Prince Philip, a classic fairy tale climax for a classic fairy tale villain. However, while Maleficent is the most threatening and evil Disney villain, Frollo is probably the most devious and disturbing. I doubt his aim being genocide of the gypsies.
Jesus.
His other aim being lusting over a woman.
Double Jesus.
He even kills a child's mother in the hope of using him to later achieve his first aim. Wastes 20 years, all the while plotting genocide under the excuse he's a good Christian.
Triple Jesus. Man, Disney really didn't pull any punches with this movie.
I thought I was the cute one.
No, you're the fat, stupid one with the big mouth.
What are you saying?
Most of the time.
On his big song, he's singing of his falling to sin and lusting over women, and saying if she doesn't f*** him, she'll die.
Choose me or your pyre. Be mine or you will burn.
Plus, of course, Eleanor Audley and Tony Jay are hammy when needed, but also dark and creepy in just the right scenes. Maleficent and Frollo. The happiest place on earth, Disney sure does go to some pretty dark places.
Now, before I get to my top pick, a couple of honourable mentions.
Dr. Draken and Shigo from Kim Possible. These two characters complement each other perfectly, with Draken being bumbling over the top and incredibly hilarious, to like Ron, while Shigo is more competent and cunning, acting as a good foil for Kim. They're kind of like a married couple. They almost made it on the list, but the funny villain spots were taken by Aku and Discord, while Bane took the one for Henchman. Vandal Savage from Young Justice. One of the few villains I found sort of lackluster in the DCAU was done much better here, with a more imposing design and a much creepier voice, courtesy of Miguel Ferrer.
Little hero, do you really think you have what it takes to survive, Vandal Savage?
On top of that, his aim to prevent humanity from stagnating and continuing our evolution was an interesting one. I may have included him on the list had he got more screen time before. Well, you know. Scar from Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Allfather was a really creepy main villain and Greed was a badass anti-hero in both his forms. Scar was an incredibly well-developed, sympathetic antagonist, with an evolving storyline which I daren't spoil. This guy is what I wanted from all of Korra's villains, with a really dark backstory, an excellent performance from J. Michael Tatum, and loads of actions where you know are despicable, but you also go, yeah, kind of have a point there. And most of all, he wasn't an obvious hypocrite. He had more than 13 episodes to develop a character, apart from his ideals, and his battles never ended in an anti-climax. Take notes, Amon. I do like Damian Clark in the original, which I have started to watch recently, but I think Tatum was just a little more natural, sympathetic, and most importantly for this list, intimidating.
Foolish alchemists who turn their backs on the ways of God shall be punished.
As soon as this guy walks on screen, even if he said, "Is your face a big butt? Because I'm going to tap it," you know he means business. Overall, every single moment Scar had on screen was
sweet.
Venom from Spectacular Spider-Man. The fall of Eddie Brock from Peter's best friend to his worst enemy, combined with his personal failure of Peter abusing the great power of the symbiote, made Venom feel like an enormous threat to Spidey and everyone in his life. The Green Goblin was great for the mystery of his true identity and the will to cause crimes for no reason than the hell of it, but Venom was just more personal. Like, Peter should have been a better friend to Eddie and should have destroyed the suit, but now both haunt him as his greatest enemy. The Major from Hellsing Ultimate. I may have included Alucard on the last countdown, except for the fact that at that point I hadn't finished the series. He definitely falls on the anti-hero / villain side of the fence, and extensively showing clips of the Crimson would probably show far more gore than I'm comfortable with on this channel. But man, did he get a worthy opponent. leader of a Nazi splinter group that survived World War II in millennium, made up of vampires and a contender for the most awesome thing ever. This guy is just crazy, with an evil grin that'd give Joker an inferiority complex. All he wants is war, a massive war to make hell tremble, and it's amazing how all his war speeches never get old.
My friends, I like war. No? Friends, I love war. I love holocausts. I love blitzkriegs. I love defensive lines. I love sieges, charges. I love mop-up operations and retreats. And the feelings that comes when a soldier runs screaming from his blazing tank, only to be mowed down by heavy machine gun fire, is such an exquisite feeling.
Was that supposed to be the coolest
Roll credits
line ever? When Alucard finally releases his full power.
The dead shall dance, and all of hell shall sing.
Bill Cipher from Gravity Falls. Man, did this guy get close to making the list, for his cool powers, history with Ford, and slowly revealed plans for world chaos. However, the more I looked at him, the more I realized that his character was eerily similar to Discord, with them both being ancient chaos spirits bent on world chaos for fun, having reality manipulating powers, a strong rivalry with a clever person, and the power to get inside people's heads. Bill does it more literally. They even both get turned to stone when defeated. Discord made the cut for his overflowing personality and development, but for his build-up, powers, manipulation of the lead characters, and more psychotic Apocalypse, I'll give Bill the honourable 11th spot.
I know what you guys are thinking. Even though his honourable mentions had some pretty scary psychos and dastardly devils in it, who can possibly top them all? Well, believe it or not, there is one villain in animation that is so cunning, devious, sadistic, and all-around evil that he tops all of the villains I've mentioned by a mile.
And it's so easy when you're evil. This is the life you see. The devil tips his hat to me. I do it all because I'm evil, and I do it all for free. Your tears are all the pay I'll ever need.
Number 1.
This evil bastard is the most villainous character in all animation. So evil, I have to build him up.
On the whole, while of Teen Titans, it had a pretty generic rogues gallery, with many villains just being defined by a power or gimmick. Although some like Mumbo, Control Freak and Mad Mod were very entertaining and unique, while most of the more serious villains just fell flat. I love John DiMaggio, but if you want a scary villain, don't hire the same dude who played some of the funniest bad guys.
to pieces. I have defeated you, but at least you won't be alone.
Something.
Dr. Draken!
Dr. Draken.
One of these things just doesn't belong. I mean, how can the same guy who voiced Dr. Draken, Bender, and Jake the Dog possibly give a scary performance?
What hurts more? A or B? Please tell the big man I said hello.
Oh, well, he doesn't hear.
And then there's the evil love child of Stephen Hawking and Davros here.
Your young friends will fall. Shall we play a game?
Now, some other serious villains worked, with Trigon acting as a great all-powerful evil menace, as well as making for some excellent conflict with Raven. Yeah, that's going to happen when your dad's the embodiment of all evil.
But no, even the DC Universe's equivalent of the devil simply has nothing on Slade.
His aim seems to be conquest of the city or world. Pretty simple. But if you get in his way, he will do everything in his power to break you. When he faces the Titans, he wants to defeat them physically and psychologically. This is on full display in his conflict with Robin and Raven, but especially Robin in the first season, toying with him by setting up crimes and mysteries to solve while evaluating his performance like some evil school teacher.
So, a regular school teacher.
Before revealing his wish to make Robin his apprentice by threatening to kill his friends. Now, that would have been enough on its own, but he feels the need to toy with Robin in a battle where he completely overpowers him, and plays some really twisted mind games after he has Robin where he wants him. Yeah, even with enhanced speed and strength, Slade prefers to break the Titans by talking over doing it physically. I'm convinced that in getting When I Destroyed, he gained the power to stare into your soul. How else could he come up with such armor-piercing speeches?
I monitored your vital signs during the mission. Elevated heart rate, adrenaline, endorphins. You won't admit it, but at some level, you enjoyed stealing from me. It was a thrill.
Even when he was killed by his new bipolar apprentice who only aligned herself with people who helped control her power, took no responsibility for her mistakes, couldn't tell good people from a complete psycho, only realizing it when he was a psycho to her, and couldn't take responsibility for her actions.
No, I'm not a big Terror fan. How did you guess?
He managed to screw with Robin through fear gas in his mask that caused him to see, hear and feel Slade, hoping to get the last laugh on his enemy. But then of course he was brought back by the devil as his herald without his flesh to ensure cooperation, because of course they were going to bring back their most popular villain. And eventually gets betrayed of course, but does they just help the Titans and cry about it? Nope! He gives the Titans a defense against Trigon since he foresaw the sudden but inevitable betrayal, journeys to hell fighting demons with Robin, assures him they'll still be enemies once they separate for Robin to find Raven, battles Pyramid Head to get his flashback, and gives the ultimate resignation to Trigon by attacking him with a double-headed flame axe, delivering several painful blows to him, and walking off with it at the end of the episode.
For the record, I'm nobody's servant.
Holy sh**. I mean, look at this badass right here.
That is pretty much the definition of a magnificent bastard. Out-manipulating the devil, when also having the protagonist where he wants them, even when they're momentarily on the same side, and while remaining calm and collected all throughout it. I love most of the villains on this list for being manipulative and clever. Well, this guy wrote the book on with people's minds, moving around heroes and villains alike as pieces on the chessboard in his grand game with the Titans, though not as literally as Jalal. Usually in team-up shows like this, the hero's greatest foe is someone like Darkseid or Brother Blood who can overpower the heroes physically. Slade can't take on all the Titans at once, simply manipulating them usually through one member in particular. I'm actually disappointed the show never crossed over with Justice League or the DCAU, since while I agree with the showrunners that it could have turned the Titans back to sidekicks, seeing Slade go up against Batman would be excellent, as I think he'd definitely be a physical and mental match for the Dark Knight. Plus they're similar, both being expert fighters and master manipulators. Also, while many villains chose to ham it up or be fun in their acting, Ron Perlman gives a chilling performance, speaking in a soft, piercing voice. It just feels like a knife being slipped into your back and making it seem like Slade has every event accounted and calculated for. It's just so creepy. Now the main reason I didn't watch Teen Titans much until I was 11, by which time it had finished. Slade scared the living crap out of me as a kid, and even now he really creeps me out. I know he's very different from Deathstroke from the comics since he isn't a mercenary and doesn't use swords or guns, but I'm still glad they gave him the same personality, being resourceful, unrelenting, and unafraid to get his hands dirty. But the main reason Slade tops all the other villains on this list is that you see how much he affects the protagonists. In the dream sequence at the beginning of Apprentice and especially Haunted, you see Robin is both obsessed with and terrified of Slade, seeing defeating him as the only way of truly becoming his own hero. But of course, his manipulation and making him his apprentice struck a huge blow to him and the Titans, as well as the audience that he wasn't just another villain. Whenever he was on screen, you could feel the tension rising to breaking point. He also felt like Slade actually had a chance at beating the Titans, but he didn't know how or when he'd attack. All he knew is that he would. Cunning, calm, driven, ruthless, stopping at nothing to make his enemies' lives a living hell, and the purest representation I've seen in any media of a total sadist. Slade is my all-time favorite cartoon villain.
I won't stop. Not now, not ever. I am the thing that keeps you up at night. The evil that haunts every dark corner of your mind. I will never rest. And neither will you.
So in this medium that quite a few people just dismiss as kid stuff, I found ancient demons, psychotic killers, and an evil mastermind who uses his spare time to assault teenagers. What are your favourite cartoon villains? If you have any picks, or you felt I missed someone off this list, leave a comment down below. Now, I am Parex 11, and have a very spooky Halloween.
I'm the fear that keeps you awake. I'm the shadows on the wall. I'm the monsters they become. I'm the nightmare in your skull. I'm a dagger in your back, an extra turn upon the rack. I'm the quivering of your heart, a stabbing